Well, the Trump verdict is in, but this morning the case far from over. A jury convicting the former president on all 34 criminal counts in a hush money scheme.
And today, Mr. Trump now turns his attention to sentencing and whether he will have to serve prison time. We got some new video in from overnight that shows the now convicted former president leaving Trump Tower in New York for a campaign fundraising event. Let's take a look at that video. Here it is. That's as he was leaving Trump Tower. It happened, keep in mind, just hours after a jury found him guilty.
So sentencing set now for July 11th. That's just 3 days before the Republican National Convention. Trump is now the first former president to be convicted of felony crimes. However, he is expected to appeal the decision in what he called a disgraceful trial.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. I'm a very innocent man. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people, and they know what happened here.
But this morning, Trump's bid for the White House doesn't look to be slowing down as the verdict sparks misinformation surrounding November's election. Kia Murray joins us now with more on that. Kia.
So we were talking about this all during the show this morning. There's a lot of claims going around on social media. They're really centering around two big questions. So the first is, can Trump still run for president after he was found guilty in that case? And then the second is that if he wins, can he even pardon himself? So this morning, we started with that first one. We took a look at some sources. We've got the U.S. Constitution, of course, the Supreme Court. Article 2 of the Constitution is where we're going to find the requirements to run for president. So check this out. There's just 3 of them: being a natural-born citizen, being at least 35 years old, and then having been a U.S. resident for at least 14 years. It is very important to note that the Supreme Court has already ruled neither Congress nor state legislatures can add to these requirements. You have to stick with what's already on the books. So because of that, the former president does check all these boxes. So yes, even with this case, he can still run for and serve as president. That's regardless of the indictment and regardless of being found guilty. Then the second part of that question is that if he wins this November, can he pardon himself? So we use the same sources: Constitution, Supreme Court. We added a couple this time around. That's going to be New York state law and then the indictment itself. So the Constitution does give the president broad power to pardon federal charges. That's where the hangup comes in. The president cannot pardon state offenses. So the indictment does show that his crimes are on the state level. He violated the New York penal law. So the final answer is no. Even if he wins the White House, former President Trump can't pardon himself, at least from this case. Now, it's important to note here, these are the 2 questions that we kind of fact-checked this morning, but there's a third that's circling around. We all want to know if we're going to see the former president actually behind bars. And it's important to note that we do not have the answer to that yet. It's because even if he's given that jail time, even if that's part of the sentence, he could be allowed out of jail while he appeals, which, of course, his attorneys already said they're very much willing to do.
All right. Well, this morning we're also getting a lot of reaction from local lawmakers on both sides of the aisle. Take a look. This is some of them. Former Republican Congressman Mark Walker sharing this quote, saying, "A sad day for justice, but one that has galvanized the MAGA and conservative world." Meanwhile, Democrat Congressman and North Carolina Attorney General hopeful Jeff Jackson chiming in, calling out Republican challenger Dan Bishop for his tweet, saying the verdict was, quote, rigged. Jackson, a former prosecutor himself. And South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, widely viewed as a leading contender to be VP, shared his support for Trump just hours ago. Take a listen.
I can't believe the hoax, this sham, this absolute injustice justice system. D.A. Bragg and the judge should be ashamed of themselves. This isn't just ridiculous. This actually erodes the confidence that Americans have in the justice system.
As we continue to follow the latest on this landmark decision, of course, you can find a detailed report plus reactions from more local politicians, and as this develops inside the WCNC Charlotte mobile app, as well as on our website, WCNC.com.
Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.